everyone, and welcome to Rad Chat, a multi-award-winning therapeutic radiographer-led oncology podcast. My name's Jo McNamara, and I'm joined by fellow host Angelica Anderson.
Hi everyone.
So we've got officially the most people in the pod box we've had, and we have also had on a previous episode Kerry Mills talking about her role. Thanks for doing picture live. So we're just going to start with you, Ryan, and we'll work our way around. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Ryan Carr. I'm a sonographer working down in Brighton. I'm one of Kerry's wonderful clinical fellows. I also work in the advanced practice faculty in NHS England as the Cancer and Diagnostic Training Programme Lead with the wonderful Helen.
I love Helen.
We all love Helen.
Yeah, she's great.
Helen?
Okay, so I'm Helen Watts. My background is diagnostic radiography. I'm sorry.
Everyone does that. It's almost like we've got to we do love our diagnostic colleagues.
My specialty is plain film reporting, and I work at South Tees NHS Trust in the sunny northeast of England. And I'm also a clinical fellow with this wonderful bunch of people.
And you're coming on the podcast soon, aren't you?
Apparently
For a full episode.
Oh.
I'm Emma Compton, and much like Helen, my background is diagnostic radiography, and I am a lead reporting radiographer at Guys and Symptoms, so I'm one of the clinical fellows.
Go on, Kerry, get on in there.
Again. Kerry Mills, National Programme Lead for Cancer Diagnostics within the Workforce Training and Education Director at NHS England.
So, Kerry, these are what you call your fellows, your tribe.
My tribe.
Your tribe, as you refer to. Can you just quickly say, why are these guys so important and integral to the work that you do?
Okay, so over the last 12 months, we've been undertaking a lot of work to kind of demystify, raise awareness, and really try to articulate the different levels of practice and what that looks like within radiography. Within obviously a lot of our funding streams for education and training, a lot of it is going to be sort of aimed at specific levels of practice. So about 18 months ago, as I've mentioned before, we had a lot of work on. I knew I couldn't do it myself, so I really went out and we had some amazing response looking for aspiring and current consultant practitioners to come in and really support the work that we're doing from the national level and also support regions and also at service and kind of system level as well. So that's where they've come in. But it's also worked out that it's a strategic development opportunity for themselves. Because in their current role, and I'm sure they'll talk about it, that seems to be the thing that was lacking, and I knew that was something that was lacking in my own training, hence why I have a wonderful tribe. I'll let them do a lot of talking.
What's she like as a manager?
Okay,
Could be She is fabulous. She is a role model, and she is supportive every minute of the day.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Ryan. I just think she's managed to kind of point stuff out that I hadn't realised it myself, but I've kind of realised it now, so it's been really, really good.
And the thing you get from Kerry is absolute honesty. But one of the
It's
things...
brutal, isn't it?
It's absolutely... Well, I think it's things you can work on, and, she talks to us a lot about being vulnerable in leadership, and you often don't see that. So I think it's important for us to acknowledge that that's what's happening, and actually we can start equating that to how we behave. So that's been really important. It's so much more for me, I guess.
So, I'm going to start with you, Emma.
Yeah.
What are you doing as part of your fellowship?
So my main project that I'm leading on is looking at the directory of postgraduate courses that relate to enhanced clinical practice. So the sort of main thing we're looking to produce is a directory, so a list of the courses that fulfil that criteria to help sort of individuals, trusts, but also the advanced practice faculty to try and direct the sort of end user to the most appropriate courses, but also a little bit of engagement with the HEIs to try and sort of figure out where the gaps are geographically, but also in terms of different specialties. So there are a few areas of radiography where there aren't a lot of course provision. So I think nuclear medicine is a little bit, DEXA, it's another one which you can probably remember, I can't remember. And really just trying to engage them. Also a little bit of work around documentation and society approvals, so trying to just raise the profile of that.
Just only a little project then.
Yeah.
Not a lot to do in that.
And then I'll let Helen.
So it feels like we're involved in a million things at once, and I think that's maybe one of the big learning opportunities in juggling different priorities and timing of working on different things at different times. timescales. One of the big projects that we're all involved in that's really quite exciting, and we're only just getting started, is to raise sort of awareness and education around the different levels of practice. And I think from being at this conference over the last few days, we can see how needed that is. And we're talking about enhanced practice and the understanding of that, and how important that is to the services and our patients, and the differentiation between that and advanced practice and the places for those roles and where it fits practically. And I think being here has made us realise how important that work is.
And one of the projects I'm working on is trying to define what the clinical pillar looks like for consultant practitioners. I have to say, we haven't got any of the therapeutic radiographer clinical fellows here. They have been here, they've run away, but they're involved in all of these projects as well, and we've got Louisa, who's a nuclear medicine technologist as well. So, capturing all of that. It's probably something that's been needed for a while, but what we're trying to do is map all of the documentation around it, trying to pull that together with job descriptions, what the current practice looks like, to see where we need to go to the future, and that's obviously going to feed into the type of training funding that can go into creating these consultant training posts moving forward. So really important work. Another project is evaluating the e-portfolio route for the advanced practice accreditation, and we're working with the wonderful Bev Snake on that. Led through the University of Bradford, so we're just assessing what the successes were, and how how practitioners who are undertaking that have felt. It's been quite challenging for some people. Another project we're all working on collectively is to see what the success of the clinical fellowships are, because it's certainly something that's needed to be done for a while, from what Kerry was saying. But in order to show how successful we are, we need to put some research into it. So those are the projects that I'm working on.
We can already see a massive change in ourselves and our development, and opening sort of our eyes and minds as to what's going on regionally and nationally. But if this is to be an opportunity maybe in the future for other people, we need to demonstrate that and measure that.
So in 5 years' time, if we look back, what are we going to see?
Future leaders in radiography, secondly.
No pressure.
Potentially, I don't know. I could be digging my own grave here, couldn't I? No, I think that there will definitely be an impact. I think they will, through their own lived experiences of being able to do something like this, will go and role model, and then also be able to go and mentor and coach others who that they see, the same type of vulnerability or the same type of lack of exposure. So this, it's even things like the terminology. I think it's very different when you move into that regional and national space, and even just hearing that and feeling comfortable with it. And that's something, it seems so small, but actually it's really important. And to actually be able to have some impact when you're in those meetings, you need to be able to engage with that language, because you need to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk, to actually be able to have that. It's really sad, the clinical voice feels really lacking sometimes in that real sort of strategic space, and so I think anything we can do to really pace. So certainly I would love to see in 5 years' time when it is lots more radiographers in that strategic space, because I think that's where we're going to have a real impact.
Where is the output of all of this work going to sit? I'm just thinking, for people in clinical who are listening to you talk about your projects, going, oh, that sounds really interesting. Where are they going to be able to access everything that you're doing, and potentially maybe some of the recommendations or implementation strategies that you've got?
I think certainly for the consultant role, it will be through funding opportunities. What we've found in all of our projects is that lack of what we see from the national team actually benefiting the shop floor. So if they see leaders who are understanding up there but also accessible on the shop floor, I'd like to think that is the success of what we're doing. So I think it's the engagement of it. It's also humanising these things and making sure people understand that not everybody gets it right first time, and you've got to demonstrate that there's a process behind it and the struggle behind it. So when we see people who are in these national roles are almost untouchable, but actually if someone's sitting within your department and they've experienced part of that, hopefully it's something they can learn.
And then we're hoping to have a synergy article sort of detailing a bit more around the roles and the projects in the not too distant future. And then Helen and Kim are doing a newsletter which is going to be dispersed quite widely.
Yeah, communication's a massive thing, and I think we were very aware of a sort of a gap between national policy and guidance and actually radiographers on the ground in departments. And that's through nobody's fault, it's just the system is huge, it's a massive beast. So we're looking at trying to improve those communications, and it is trial and error a little bit.
AI needs to help us prioritise emails, which we've already said. You need AI to go, Joe, you need to reply to this today. But it is so imperative, because there is such amazing work going on nationally and regionally, but actually it's that dissemination that really is the difficult part, because you do amazing work, recommendations, and then people reflect back going, why has it not been implemented? Well, it might just be because they've never heard about it in the first place. So if people want to get the newsletter, how do they get the newsletter?
We have a strategy,
Okay.
but generally we're going to circulate that to ACP leads, AHP leads, the regional faculties, and disseminate out from there. You can also email us directly, and we'll disseminate that out as well.
Perfect.
Just to say, we're also working with the College of Radiographers and hopefully to radiology service managers using their platform as well. It'll also be hosted on the NHS Futures platform as part of our page in the future as well. So these kind of like, I suppose, the resultant, reports and guidance and recommendations that we bring in, there will be like a digital format of people to access as well.
And Rad Chat will share.
Obviously, of course.
Can I just quickly, I do not just say a quick shout out to Katie and Kim and Louisa, and it's a radio show, isn't it? Katie, Kim, Louisa and Rachel.
What's your favourite song?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
They're the other clinical fellows who aren't here with us today, and they're absolutely brilliant as well. Like I said, it's a holistic and eclectic bunch group that we've got with, which is great, and also they are being supported by Beverly Snade and Melanie Clarkson as well, who are very big in the advanced practice and consultant world. So we're really grateful to them as well.
Amazing. So one last question, because Numan's got to go and get trained. In terms of kind of personal aspirations, what do you think you've got most out of being a fellow?
So I still work clinically a couple of days a week, and I've been working in a regional role in the advanced practice faculty, and a bit like what Kerry was saying in her podcast, stepping into that kind of national role, understanding the languages and why that is so important, I think is the biggest thing that I've probably learned. And making those connections. It's very uncomfortable to network sometimes, but you've kind of got to lean into that
I can't believe you've said that, Ryan. We networked really well the first night we met.
That's because there was alcohol involved. Lots of. But I think it's understanding that, and you have to be on all the time when you're in that role. So you've got to understand that the words that you're saying, you're fully behind them, and you're saying the right thing. So it's really checking in with yourself on those. I think that's the most important thing.
I think it's that strategic insight, that step back and seeing the bigger picture. But I think for me personally, it's finding my voice and my place in that, and bringing my authentic self. That's okay. My opinion matters, and I think week to week dealing with the fear.
Yeah.
Every week, we're like, I don't know if you're going to do this, but you do it, and then it's fine, and you feel better the next time.
Kind of leading on from what Helen said, I think we also got quite a lot with imposter syndrome in the early days, but we've all kind of and now accepted that we are supposed to be here and we've got the right to be here. And then for me, it's just getting that sort of operational and strategic experience that will bridge the gap between advanced and consultant practice, which is where I'm looking to go.
Amazing. And peer support.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all of you just looking at how much you WhatsApp each other.
My WhatsApp is muted.
How rude!
Don't worry, it's on all the groups.
You get removed from the group.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us in the pod box. We will continue to share the amazing work you're doing and disseminate out to the radiography workforce. So thank you.
Thank you both.